Hello, Wonderhussy here, hiking in the beautiful Mule Mountains, high above the quirky little town of Bisbee, Arizona. Okay, Bisbee, Arizona is this funky historic mining town way down south in Arizona, about 10 or 11 miles north of the Mexican border. And I've been staying here for the last 4 or 5 days with a friend whose house is somewhere right down there. Anyway, I told my friend that I would give him a ride to Phoenix in about an hour, and while I'm waiting for him to get his stuff together, I decided to go for a little hike. Now, like I said, I've been hanging out in Bisbee for the last, I think, 5 days, and I've gone to a bunch of bars, and I've gone to a bunch of galleries, and I made a few videos, but the whole time I was here, I kept looking up at the side of the mountain, and you could see it from the windows in my friend's house. There's a big cross, or what looks like a bunch of crosses, on top of this particular hill. And so I thought, since I have about an hour to kill, while I'm waiting for my friend, I'm gonna go ahead and hike up and see what these crosses are all about. And they actually turned out to be super cool. Okay, so to get up here, you basically have to hike all the way up one of these winding, narrow little streets that climb up the hills of Bisbee. And then there's a hiking trail that you basically have to bushwhack pretty much straight up the side of this little mountain. And then there's a trail you follow kind of along the ridgeline for a little ways until you start to see unusual colors. Or at least that's how it was for me. The first thing I came upon was this stack of old pieces, I guess old railroad ties with some stacked rocks on top of it. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool, but was it really worth hiking all the way up this gnarly, rugged trail to the top of this mountain for? I expected more. And so I kept on hiking around this tree, and, well, I got what I wanted. Okay, first thing we come upon is a line of Buddhist prayer flags, which is pretty much par for the course in a town like Bisbee, which you might say is sort of on the woo-woo, hippy-dippy, crystal-waving side of the spectrum. In fact, I would call Bisbee kind of a cross between, well, it's like the San Francisco of the desert, kind of like San Francisco mixed with Sedona, only way down south where it's a little less high dollar. Although judging from some of the houses and the prices in the galleries down in Old Bisbee, well, it's actually pretty high dollar up here too. Anyway, I guess there's a lot of Buddhists here because even though there are some crosses on the top of the hill, and that's what I saw from down below, there's also this little tiny Buddhist shrine somebody made out of plywood. Super cute. It's like a little dollhouse Buddhist temple with a bell hanging in the middle. Let's see if it rings. I don't know if you could hear that, but it does. And there's some really cool metal cactus on the front and a little heart. Like somebody spent a lot of time on this thing with those beads and everything. I really like it. Look, there's even a tin roof on it. And then on the back, it says, well, the paint is really faint, but I think it says, "The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of tumbleweed." At least that's what it looks like it says to me. Maybe this thing was created by a refugee from Texas. I think there's a lot of Texans who come out here to Bisbee. Oh, just for sightseeing, but also, I don't know, I guess to move out here if you're a hippy-dippy liberal crystal waver in Texas, you gotta find your people, and this is probably like the closest enclave for that. Although I'm sure anyone who lives in Austin might disagree these days, because it's my understanding that Austin is getting kind of full of crystal wavers itself. Okay, here's another little sculpture somebody put up here. Very rough-hewn kind of Madonna figure. And no, I'm not talking about Madonna the singer. And then look, there's a really cool little old-timey wooden top sitting in her lap. But wait, there's more. Okay, there's also all these big wooden crosses, which is what I saw from below. And it looks like there's a picture on this one. Oh no, I wonder if this is somebody's kid who passed away. Oh, that's terrible. I mean, he doesn't look like it was that long ago, you know? He looks like he was out of the 2000s or maybe 90s at the very earliest. Oh, look, there's a name under it. Looks like it says Esteban. Oh, I wonder if this is someone's son named Esteban who passed away. Really sad, but a really nice way to memorialize him up on the top of this hill. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful up here, and you have amazing views of all of Bisbee, and well, I think I can even see Lowell and Warren, which are two kind of suburbs over that way. Anyway, there's a few crosses up here. This one says Lopez. This one doesn't say anything at all. This one up here is real old and splintery, but somebody put a beautiful golden crucifix over top of it. There's just all kinds of little crosses stuck up here, which kind of, I guess, is the Bisbee way. I mean, not that Bisbee is a super religious town. I just mean Bisbee's a very artsy town, and there's a lot of arts and craftsy, you know, just walking around the streets. Everybody's got crazy, quirky stuff in their front yards, and so putting stuff up here like this really isn't surprising. And oh gosh, look at this. There's kind of like this nook in between these rocks with red high-heeled shoes in it. And it looks like boots with flowers stuck in it. And then it says on the rock here, what does it say? Judy Wonder Woman, 1951 to 2019. Oh no, I'm guessing some woman named Judy passed away, and I guess her friends hiked up here and made a little shrine to her memory. These must have been her high heels. These must have been her winter boots. I guess she was something of a badass if they called her Wonder Woman. 1951 to 2019, she was like 68 when she died. Oh gosh, I wonder what happened. Well, whatever it was, it's nice of her friends to hike up here and build this little shrine for her in amongst all these other, I guess, shrines, bits and bobs, memorials. Oh gosh, I don't know if you can see there on that bush, somebody stuck a pair of praying hands. Kind of creepy, but kind of cool. And very Bisbee. Anyway, there's kind of like this little trail that sort of winds among all these memorials in these beautiful mountains. High atop Bisbee, back here, it's interesting, you can actually see the edge of town. And I did a video about Bisbee where I kind of walked through town, and I started to walk up this canyon, which is called Zacatecas Canyon, and I think it's kind of where all the really hardcore hippies live, and you can see why. It's really hard to get back there. The pavement ends after a ways, and it's just a real rough, bumpy road, and you're surrounded by these gorgeous mountains, close enough to town to have all the amenities you might want, but all the peace and quiet of living in the country. Anyway, the hippies down in Zacatecas Canyon probably have a great view of this cross shrine on the hills just behind their neighborhood. Oh, look, here's an angel. I mean, people toted this stuff all the way up here. This was not an easy hike, let alone lugging a heavy terracotta angel or whatever that's made out of, let alone whatever materials were required to build this ginormous shrine I'm walking through right now. Okay, I think this might be what kind of started the whole cross on the hill shrine, and it kind of reminds me of Salvation Mountain outside Slab City. If you've ever been to Salvation Mountain, it's this big white mountain this guy painted and put all kinds of religious iconography on it. Well, this reminds me of it, but this says that it was built and is maintained by Adolfo D. and Mary Vasquez in May of 1980. Wow, so that's like almost 45 years ago. And I don't know if they're still maintaining it because the paint looks like it's in pretty rough shape. It's interesting because it looks like they just kind of built it out of the existing rocks that were here. You can see the paint on this kind of like really rustic rock staircase leading up to that grotto. And then this is all rock. But then some of these materials they did have to lug up here, like all these bricks. And then this metal scaffolding. I mean, this is actually a very elaborate shrine. I love stuff like this. And then there's like little pictures and fun little knickknacks and memories in each one of them. And they're, I don't know, maybe this is kind of invasive and nosy, but I love stuff like this. Like, look at this cool old photo. This is somebody's loved ones, you know? There's a little girl in the middle. Maybe that's her mom on the left and her grandma on the right. You know, like 3 generations of women. And then there's this really cool kind of collage art piece here that Well, it looks like the elements are kind of getting to it, but kind of not. It kind of looks even cooler, all faded and peeling away like that. And then there's a fresher painting here. That looks like that hasn't been up here too long. Oh, look, a paw print. Suki. Oh, I bet that was somebody's dog who passed away. And from the looks of it, it was a pretty big dog. Then look here. This almost looks like, is this like an urn for a pet's ashes? Oh my God, there is. There's something in there. Yikes. Oh, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I wonder if that's Suki. Oh, R.I.P. little Suki. Good girl. I'm guessing Suki was a girl. Good girl. Oh, I'm giving you cosmic belly rubs. Oh, hopefully she enjoys that somewhere up in the afterlife. Oh, look, this says, in memory of Norma V. Torres. With love, Hector Torres and family. So I guess they came up here and did this for somebody named Norma. I wonder if this was Norma. It's a picture of a woman. Oh, I thought she was wearing a COVID mask, but I think it's just worn away. You can't really see her smile, but beautiful woman. And then there's all this crazy, kooky stuff hanging up, flowers. Virgin Mary Shrine. I mean, we are only 11 miles from the Mexican border. And I should know because I went there last night to have tacos for dinner. And it's real easy to cross the border down here. You just go through a turnstile and they don't even check your passport on the way into Mexico. On the way back here, they did. But anyway, I just think this is very inspiring. There's a plaque down below that, golly, it says something, but it's so worn away, I don't think I can read it. If anybody can, let us know in the comments. Here's another shrine next to this really nice Virgen de Guadalupe. Here's a, oh dear, really cool. I gotta back out. Let me zoom out. It's like a cave carved into the wall, and there's a bunch of stuff in here. There's a headless statue of, I guess, the Virgin Mary, and then, well, there's a picture here. This looks like maybe it was a husband and wife who passed away. Oh no, and then look, there's a shoe that maybe belonged to the woman. God, these like personal effects I find so haunting. You know, I would be extremely honored if somebody went through all the trouble to build a shrine like this for me when I pass away. And then up here, there's another shrine with another headless Virgin Mary. Over here, we have an angel playing a saxophone. That's my kind of angel. And then over here, look at this. This is cool, but kind of creepy. Okay, you can tell it's the background to one of those Virgin Mary statues like we just saw. And you can see she was bolted on here, but this is just supposed to look like the holy rays or radiation coming off her. Well, when you pry the statue off, it just leaves this really creepy shape behind that kind of reminds me of like a centipede or a millipede. In fact, it kind of reminds me of this terrifying video my friend that I'm staying with showed me of this giant, I mean, it had to be like 10 inches long centipede that was crawling along the sidewalk here. I guess they get really gnarly bugs here in the summertime. But I'm here in January, so I didn't have to worry about running into any of those creepy crawlers. Oh, look, here's a picture. I wonder if this is a memorial to this woman. Diane Freund, author of Four Corners. But then there's also, look, there's another thing for a pet's ashes. And it's interesting because these things are just made out of plastic. You think they would disintegrate in the sun. Ooh, this one's really heavy. That must have been a big dog. Maybe it was a mastiff or a Presa Canario. Actually, I can't imagine anyone in Bisbee having a Presa Canario. Those are those giant, super aggressive dogs that like white supremacists have. And the peaceful hippies of Bisbee are far too gentle for a breed like that. Oh, look at this. So beautiful. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, but I love religious iconography. Kind of gives me a peaceful, easy feeling. Okay, let me continue on my way around this shrine because I do have to get back to my friend's house so I can get him to, well, he's got to return a U-Haul in Benson, Arizona at a certain time. Okay, let's go up the stairs here. These crumbling old painted rock steps that somebody very painstakingly sort of laid into the side of this mountain. There's mortar too. Oh golly, somebody packed Quikrete all the way up here. Dang, that takes some dedication. Look up here. Oh, this is really cool. This kind of reminds me of my friends at Villa Anita, where I live in Death Valley. This is like right up their alley. This sexy golden nude figure with kind of a busted, I don't know if it's an angel or Mary, a saint's face on top of it. And then here we got Jesus. And over here we got another Virgin Mary with a bunch of flowers. Really cool painting of somebody on a stone. I wonder if that guy passed away and this is a memorial to him. He looks like he was a fun guy. What else? Oh, look. Chuckleheads, Bisbee, Arizona. I feel like I saw a sign for Chuckleheads somewhere. It must be a bar or a restaurant. Oh, man. And there's well, there's no name on it, so I guess I can show. It's some kid's ID card from his high school. God, I wonder what happened. Oh, it says Franklin High School, 1996-97. Dang, that's the same time I was going to high school. It'd be the same age as me. Oh, look, there's even $1 in there. I guess you don't have to worry about anybody stealing stuff up here because, God, it's so hard to hike up here. Anyway, then there's one more little nook here with Jesus and some flowers, some of those candles and jars. Oh no, looks like this angel fell over. Let me go ahead and fix that. Miracle Hill. Oh, I wonder if that's what they call this, Miracle Hill. Or what's this? I just noticed behind this golden figurine. Save the babies from Sergeant Hudson. Ooh, I wonder who Sergeant Hudson is and what he has against babies. Anyway, super cool little shrine. And there's one more thing over here that I wanted to check out. It's like a little cabinet or something. Let's see what's in this. Oh, it's real rusted, but there is a latch on the door. Oh, it's an old medicine chest. And there's a guy with a corncob pipe going, good grief. Oh, some people just hiked up here and they probably think I'm super weird for going through all this talking to myself, but oh well, you only live once and I'm leaving in less than an hour, so they'll never see me again. Anyway, here's a QR code on this good grief guy. I'm gonna have to look that up online when I get home. Actually, I have cell signal up here, and so I just did look it up, and it takes you to Amazon.com, some book that this guy wrote called Good Grief, and that's the cover of it. And now I'm kind of curious what it's about. Well, why be curious when I can read the synopsis? It says, experiencing the loss of a family member is always hard, and how we grieve that loss can be unique to the individual. My mother's unexpected death went off like a bomb in my wheelhouse, so when I had the opportunity to sail from Seattle to Los Angeles alongside my father and 2 others, I rolled the dice. Maybe a compass could lead us to a new perspective. Ah, so his mom died, and then it looks like he got all his friends and family to write him 5-star reviews, which, who can blame him? I'd do the same thing. Oh, look here, this looks like his brother. His brother says, the mother character was killed off a little early for my taste, and the whole thing seemed to take place on a boat. Other than that, it was a real good read. Well, he gave him 5 stars. Anyway, there's really not much else in here, just some little rocks and, oh, well, here's something kind of cool. It's a little tiny pin. Oh, it's a ring with a heart on it, and this woman's picture says B-R-E, Bree, I guess. Oh, anyway, it's going to have to remain a mystery because I just looked at my watch while I was looking at that QR code, and man, I got to get back to my friend's house ASAP. Oh, look, somebody did a little rock for their dad. Ugh, no time. I could be here all day poking through these very touching little memorials, but like I said, I got to help my friend get back to Benson, Arizona, and then Phoenix, and then from there, well, I'm actually driving or starting to make my way all the way back up to Death Valley. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this peaceful hilltop cross shrine, which is also a Buddhist shrine and just kind of a nice place to remember people you've lost. And it actually kind of reminds me of where I live, just outside Death Valley. There's a cross shrine on the hill right by my house, but it's just a cross. And as many hippy-dippy crystal wavers as live in the town where I live, I'm frankly astonished that it hasn't become something like this. And I don't know if the people in my town would be offended or angered if I put some kind of little prayer flags or something up there, but this cross shrine has kind of inspired me. And I'm super glad I went to the trouble of hiking all the way up here to check it out. If you happen to be in Bisbee and you look up on the hill and you see a bunch of crosses, well, now you know what it is. If you're fond of stairwells and winding roads, quaint little galleries and psychedelic toads, you're sure to fall in love with old Bisbee. And that's the truth.